Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakwadash. Of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, who deserve double honors. Salutations go out also to the fellow occupant out there across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth, trying to wake up the remaining, hopefully elect. This is Nam out the DC camp. And this is going to be what I hope is a short video. It's just a heads up for those that are trying to, or I should say rather, hoping that their wealth is going to save them from the upcoming events. And if you believe that, well, you're in for a rude awakening, because this devil is changing the whole system, this infrastructure. All right, banking as we know it is going out the window. All right, these what you never thought of as a form of freedom as far as your money is concerned, all this is going by the wayside. All right, that executive order 14067 that Biden signed last March has already taken effect. It's been in effect almost 2 weeks now. All right, so they're quote unquote experimenting with this new system. All right, everything is going digital. So this article I'm fixing to read to you, it's going to go into that, and it's going to be a reminder, hopefully for those of you that have the ears, that this is indeed the revived Roman Empire. As we say in Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, there's no new thing under the sun. And you're going to see here also, this should remind you that you're dealing with the same spirits. All right, you're dealing with the same people. And it's a case for reincarnation, because as I said, these spirits keep coming back. All right, it says a warning. This is initially from Time magazine. A warning for today's super rich from ancient Rome's wealthiest man. All right, this is also, like I said at the onset, going to remind you that we all know that these super rich are building these bunkers and other means of trying to hide, because they know what's going on, because they are the cause of it. All right, it says an even more unequal society loses its links to democracy, so-called. All right, again, you're going to see here the connection. All right, it says wealth is good, excess wealth distorts. Sounds like Gordon Gekko, right? Greed is good. Those were the lessons of the last years of the Roman Republic 2,000 years ago. They are still lessons today. 7 years on from Donald Trump's first presidential campaign, it's easy to forget that his populism came from the Latin textbooks. When Trump was riding high, he followed closely, likely not knowingly, the populist of Republican Rome. Trump was, and we are, the apostles had always said that they thought this guy was a reincarnation of, I believe, hold on here, it was the idiot that blamed the burning of Rome on the Israelites, the so-called the Christians at the time. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. Rephrase that. Starts with an N. I just can't. This is a sick bastard. I do remember that. Nero. Damn. How could I forget that? Yeah, he was sick. There's all kinds of other things going on with this cat. But that's a whole nother video. Anyway, so Nero. They thought that Trump was the reincarnation of Nero. All right. This guy says it was somebody else. We'll see. We'll see. It says Trump was no Julius Caesar, except maybe in his dreams, but his electoral pitch did owe much to Caesar's uncle, Gaius Marius. All right. Rome's first man of the people who won election after election, a record 7 consulships, by attacking the elitism of his enemies and vaunting his own trustworthiness to the poor and left behind. All right. Okay. It says when Trump used his purported wealth to prove his selflessness in seeking office and in attacking Hillary Clinton as the client of plutocrats, these were tactics that both Marius and Caesar would have instantly recognized. Let's be clear here. I am not singling out Trump because all these motherfuckers are millionaires, at least. All right? Hopefully you know that. All right, so I'm not going to just pick him out. All right? It says in 2022, the Latin lesson continues. Early Rome prospered not because it was an egalitarian democracy, but because it was generally more equal, open, and democratic than its rivals. For instance, freeing slaves, freeing slaves when the Greeks thought that a step too far, but throughout the first century BCE, Rome's intermittent civil wars between its haves and have-nots left one man eventually as the wealthiest politician of his time, maybe of all time. His name was Marcus Licinius Crassus. All right. So this is who they're comparing him to. All right. And hopefully you're beginning to see here the connection, freeing the slaves. Like I said, you're dealing with here the same nation of people. All right. Like I said, this is the revived Roman Empire. What does it say about Israel being that burdensome stone in Zechariah 12th chapter? All right. So, continuing on, like Trump, Crassus made his first fortune in property, redeveloping land taken from the war's losers, building flashy mansions for the winners. He went on to make a genuine massive fortune from mining and banking. He is best known today as the villain who crucified Kirk Douglas in Stanley Kubrick's film Spartacus. But for all the gruesome theater of crosses along the Appian Way, winning a slave war was little more than a sideshow for Crassus. He had created for himself a new kind of power, the permanent kind, the power to use money behind the scenes. Once again. All right, another connection, okay. Pulling the strings of whichever puppet seemed to be in charge. He was the first tycoon. All right, you got people like George Soros. You got the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, all these elite banking families behind the scenes operating. Hey, the connection here, all right. Even Caesar himself was Crassus's puppet at the beginning of his career. Crassus financed Caesar's election campaigns, making sure at a stupendous cost that Caesar became Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest, the only man with a house in the Roman Forum. Once Crassus had helped Caesar to his military commands in Gaul, he watched his proteges back in Rome, bribing, money lending, making speeches, and calling in favors in order to ensure. Who does that sound like? My goodness. My goodness. These same people, you got to remember, this is on the heels of John Hyrcanus, the last of the Levites, and his conversion of the Edomites. Forceful conversion, I might add. And these people that would later claim to be the Jews because they were forced at that time, all right, into practicing our customs. So what does this sound like? Nothing new under the sun. These things just keep happening. These spirits keep coming back. It says, let me read that again. Once Crassus had helped Caesar to his military commands in Gaul, he watched his protege back in Rome, bribing, money lending, making speeches and calling in favors in order to ensure, for a while at least, that Caesar became a useful counterweight to Crassus's lifetime rival, Pompey the Great. All right, and this is, in case you were trying to figure out a timeline here, this is around the time of the first triumvirate. All right. Let me look that up real quick because I can't remember the date. I believe it was around 45 BC or something like that. Hold on. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Hold on. First triumvirate. All right. Let's talk about Rome now. It was a political alliance among three prominent politicians in the late Roman Republic: Gaius Julius Caesar, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. Got that? The Constitution, who we are talking about in this article, the Constitution of the Roman Republic had many veto points. All right, I just want to get a timeline. You can read this for yourself. I'll put it in the, just to give you a time period. It was formed between the three men due to their mutual need to overcome opposition in the Senate against their proposals in the previous years. All right. It emerged publicly during Caesar's first consulships in 59 BC, so I wasn't off by much. 14 years. All right. So, yeah. All right. So there you go. I'll bookmark that myself, of course. So, yeah, this is, and it also, in case you're wondering, is the same time period where when you read from Babylon to Timbuktu, where it talked about the Israelites fled into Rome, all right, and about the Jewish slaves, this is that time period, all right. So, yeah, like I said, Ecclesiastes 1:9. Let me read that real quick. All right. We keep saying, you know, this is one of those cases for, hey, what somebody called it, that spooky stuff. Well, yeah, okay. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. You know, this is Solomon here. It says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." These same things we're facing today, they did this shit way back then. They were dealing with it, all right? You know, and it's at this time that things are going to get much worse. There's a reason why Daniel 12:1 is in the book. All right, let's get that. These are the times that we're coming into, people. This is the time of the end. All right. Daniel 12:1. "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people." And again, this is talking about Israel. This is not talking about everybody. All right. "And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that should be found written in the book." Now I have to continue because a lot of people that we're trying to give this information to, that we're trying to help, and of course our people who are scattered abroad. That's why we're out there on the highways and the byways as we're instructed, not hidden away in some building they want to call a church. You know, we're in the place of concourse, all right, where everybody, because not only are we trying to wake up our people, but we're condemning the others also, all right. This is verse 2. "And many of them," these people that fan their hand, that used all kinds of expletives, you know, telling us to do certain things. It says, "Many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt." He said with that, till the next video, shalom.